Echoes of a Fallen Star. How Yumenglong's death changed fandom forever. The world of entertainment has witnessed many tragedies, but few have struck the soul of fandom the way Yumenglong's death did. It wasn't just the loss of a beloved actor. It was the silence of a voice that once carried light, laughter, and a rare kind of calm that made millions feel at peace. When news broke that Yumenglong had passed away, the world didn't just lose a celebrity. It lost a heartbeat that had quietly kept many spirits alive. The ripples of his death reached beyond screens and stages. It touched lives, reshaped fan culture, and left a haunting echo that continues to linger long after his final bow. For years, Yumenglong was more than an actor, he was a feeling. Known for his gentle aura and deeply emotional performances, he embodied a soft kind of strength that felt both real and unreachable. His fans saw him as the calm in chaos, a reminder that beauty could exist even in pain. Whether it was his roles in romantic dramas or his soothing music, Yumenglong had an aura that drew people in, not through noise or spectacle, but through quiet sincerity. His artistry was a mirror, reflecting both the fragility and resilience of the human heart. But behind that grace, there was a silence too heavy for most to imagine. Those close to him said he was often withdrawn, lost in thought even when surrounded by people. The very sensitivity that made his performances powerful also made his inner world difficult to bear. While fans adored his warmth, few saw the weight he carried behind the smile, the exhaustion that came from trying to remain perfect in a world that devoured perfection. In interviews, he would speak softly about peace and balance, about finding joy in little things, yet his eyes told a story words could not capture. When the world woke up to the news of his death, disbelief swept across social media like a tidal wave. It didn't feel real. Hashtags flooded timelines. Fans reposted old clips, interviews, and concert moments, clinging to any fragment that could make sense of the unthinkable. People cried openly online, confessing how Yumenglong had once helped them through heartbreak, anxiety, or loneliness. His name trended for days, not just as a celebrity lost, but as a soul whose presence had quietly shaped countless lives. The sadness didn't come only from losing a star. It came from losing a connection that felt deeply personal. Unlike many idols, Yumenglong never tried to be unreachable. His fan interactions were warm, genuine, and intimate. He didn't treat his audience as admirers. He treated them as people, as friends walking through the same uncertain world. Fans who met him at events often said that his eyes made you feel seen, as if he understood you without needing to say a word. That kind of bond doesn't disappear easily. It lingers. It aches. In the days following his death, candlelight vigils appeared in cities around the world. Fans gathered, holding flowers and photos, playing his songs softly into the night. The air was heavy with grief, yet also filled with something beautiful, a shared love that transcended borders, languages, and distance. It was proof that Yumenglong had built more than a fan base. He had built a family. The fandom, once united by joy, was now united by heartbreak. But even in mourning, they found meaning. They found purpose in remembering him, not through tears alone, but through acts of kindness, creativity, and art, the very things Yumenglong had lived for. Online, tribute videos began circulating, compilations of his best moments, quotes, and behind-the-scenes laughter. Fans wrote letters addressed to him, speaking as though he were still listening. Some painted murals, others composed music inspired by him. The internet became a sea of remembrance, and every post felt like a candle lit in the dark. Even those who had never been fans before were drawn into the collective mourning, realizing just how profound his impact had been. The industry, too, felt the weight of his loss. Co-stars, directors, and fellow artists spoke with tears in their voices, describing him as a rare soul, humble, thoughtful, and deeply kind. One director said he was the kind of person who carried light into every room, but I think he forgot to save a little of it for himself. That line echoed through interviews and fan pages, breaking hearts all over again. For many, it summed up the tragedy of YUMENGLONG's death, a man who gave so much light to others until he had none left for himself. In the months that followed, his death sparked deep reflection within the fandom community. People began to talk openly about mental health, about the hidden pain behind fame. Conversations that once felt uncomfortable suddenly became necessary. YUMENGLONG's passing became a catalyst for awareness. Fans encouraged each other to check in, to speak up, to listen more deeply. His death didn't just change how fans remembered their idols. It changed how they treated one another. In honoring him, they learned to care more genuinely, more openly, more humanly. Every anniversary of his passing, fans continued to gather online and offline to remember him. They call it the Day of Echoes, a name born from the belief that even though YUMENGLONG is gone, his voice still resonates in the laughter, music, and memories he left behind. They light candles at exactly the same time, post his favorite quotes, and share personal stories about how he once helped them feel less alone. Each post becomes a note in a collective song of remembrance, a harmony that refuses to fade. The entertainment industry often moves fast, new stars rise, trends change, attention shifts, but YUMENGLONG's memory has proven timeless. He wasn't just another idol who came and went. He became a symbol of something deeper. Authenticity in a world of performance, sincerity in a culture of spectacle. His artistry wasn't loud, yet it was unforgettable. His departure wasn't publicized with grand statements, yet it left a silence so profound that people still feel it years later. Perhaps that is the true mark of a legend. Not how brightly they shine in life, but how deeply their light lingers in their absence. YUMENGLONG may no longer walk among his fans, but his influence continues to ripple through time, inspiring a generation of dreamers, artists, and ordinary people who see a part of themselves in his quiet grace. His name has become more than a memory. It has become a movement, a reminder to live sincerely, love deeply, and be kind even when the world isn't watching. As the years pass, new stars will rise, but none will ever replace the particular softness YUMENGLONG brought into the world. He was proof that art can heal, that a simple smile can save someone's day, that a single song can speak to thousands of hearts. And though his life ended too soon, his story did not. It continues through every fan who still whispers his name before sleeping, through every melody played in his memory, through every life that finds hope because of the lessons he left behind. The echo of YUMENGLONG's life is not fading, it is evolving. What began as grief has become gratitude. What began as pain has become purpose. His fans, once broken by his death, now carry his legacy as a light for others, proving that love, even when born from loss, can still be the most powerful force in the world. Even months after YUMENGLONG's passing, the air still trembled with his absence. It wasn't just silence, it was the kind that wrapped around people, heavy and invisible, reminding them that some lights are too bright to fade quietly. His image lingered everywhere, on screens, in memories, in the hearts of those who once waited anxiously for his next song, his next drama, his next smile. Fans still spoke of him in the present tense, as if he might walk back into the world any moment and remind them all that some stories never really end. The night of the vigil in Shanghai became a memory burned into the collective soul of his fandom. Thousands gathered beneath a silver sky, holding candles that flickered like fallen stars, their glow reflecting on faces streaked with tears. The quiet hum of his music filled the space, soft piano chords, followed by his unmistakable voice singing words that now sounded like a farewell. Even when I'm gone, the light stays with you. People whispered those lyrics under their breath as though they were prayers. A girl in the front row, barely 17, held a handwritten note that read, "You taught me how to be gentle with life." In that moment, it was clear YUMENGLONG had not just been a performer. He had been a quiet revolution. His death had turned ordinary fans into storytellers, poets, dreamers, and advocates for compassion. The grief became art, and that art became legacy. Across social media, people began creating digital shrines in his honor, pages filled with his photos, quotes, and the melodies that once gave them strength. The hashtag #ECHOESOFMENGLONG trended for weeks, symbolizing not just remembrance but unity. Each post carried a part of him, a laugh, a lyric, a memory. In Chengdu, a small cafe that Yumenglong once visited transformed into an unofficial memorial. The owner placed a framed photograph of him by the window, the same seat where he once sat, sipping tea, lost in thought. Fans traveled from across the country to sit there, ordering the same drink he loved, as if somehow, by repeating his gestures, they could keep him close. The cafe became known as Menglong's Corner, a sanctuary for quiet reflection. Strangers who met there often ended up in tears, but they left feeling lighter, comforted by the thought that their grief was shared. Meanwhile, online fan forums evolved into communities of healing. What started as places to discuss his work turned into safe spaces for people to open up about their emotions. He made me believe that softness is strength, one user wrote. If he could carry so much and still smile, then maybe I can too. Another added, he didn't just act, he lived his art. He made kindness fashionable. These comments multiplied, creating a network of hope, bound together by one man's silent influence. Journalists began calling this movement the Menglong effect, a term that captured how his passing had inspired a cultural shift in fandom behavior. Before, celebrity worship was often shallow, fleeting, and competitive, but Yumenglong's death transformed that landscape. Fans didn't just idolize him. They wanted to be like him, to live with more empathy, to listen more, to love without fear. His followers began organizing charity drives in his name, supporting causes related to mental health, animal welfare, and youth education, areas he cared about deeply. These weren't just tributes. They were continuations of his heart. One especially moving story emerged from a fan in Seoul who had been struggling with loneliness and depression. After Yumenglong's death, she painted a portrait of him surrounded by butterflies, symbolizing rebirth. The painting went viral, eventually displayed at an international art exhibition dedicated to stars gone too soon. When asked what inspired her, she said, "He reminded me that even broken things can be beautiful. His silence taught me to speak." Even film and television producers began revisiting his unfinished works. A drama he had been filming before his death was later released posthumously, and when the final episode aired, fans across the world watched in collective heartbreak. The last scene, Yumenglong walking through a field of white flowers, turning to smile one last time, felt almost prophetic. The director later admitted that they left that scene untouched as a tribute, refusing to edit out the raw emotion in his eyes. That smile, tender and eternal, became a symbol of farewell for millions. The Chinese entertainment industry, often criticized for its relentless pace, paused in rare unity to honor him. Award ceremonies began with moments of silence. Music festivals projected his image in the sky. Fellow artists spoke of him not as a colleague, but as a brother, a man whose kindness changed how they treated their own fans and teams. One actor said on stage, "You taught us that fame isn't about standing in the spotlight. It's about shining it on others." The crowd rose to their feet, and for a full minute, no one clapped. They simply stood there, heads bowed, as his song played softly in the background. But perhaps the most touching transformation was within his fans themselves. The fandom that had once gathered for premieres and concerts began gathering for community outreach. They donated books to rural schools, raised funds for hospitals, and wrote letters to those battling depression, all under the banner for Menglong. Each action was a promise that his light would not die with him. Years later, the pain still lingers, but it has softened into something beautiful. Each October, fans around the world participate in an online event called Echo Night. At exactly 9 p.m., they light a candle, play one of his songs, and share what his life taught them. The timeline glows with thousands of flickering flames, creating a digital sky of remembrance. Some write messages like, "You still walk with us," while others simply post his favorite quote. Kindness is never wasted. It always finds its way home. In a world that often forgets easily, Yumenglong remains unforgettable, not because of how he died, but because of how he lived. His quiet compassion became the blueprint for a better fandom culture, one built on empathy rather than envy, understanding rather than obsession. Through him, people learned that loving an artist can mean more than consuming their work. It can mean living their values. There's something hauntingly poetic about his legacy. Yumenglong's death might have taken him from the stage, but it gave rise to a generation that now sees love as an act of courage. His echo has not faded. It has become a pulse, steady and soft, reminding everyone who listens that some stars do not vanish when they fall. They become part of the sky forever. And in every corner of the internet, in every whisper of his songs, in every tear turned into art, the truth remains. Yumenglong's story did not end with death. It began with remembrance. His light, though distant, still reaches hearts across the world, guiding them home to hope, to kindness, to the belief that even in loss, love remains eternal.